So hello everyone, my name is Hash. I'm not in any way affiliated with the drug, but I'm here to supply you with a Tableau tip which might have the same effect. So, yeah, I work for the Information Lab and I get the opportunity to work with clients on a day-to-day basis and understand their requirements, which often turn into challenges, which we then implement using the tool. So one such challenge which I came across recently was to build a previous year-to-date calculation for a KPI dashboard, which the client wanted. And as part of it, they wanted to look at the previous year-to-date. In this specific instance, it was for how much they spend with their suppliers. But yeah, I thought it would be useful because it's a reusable calculation and I'm sure it's quite a common requirement. So yeah, let me go ahead and give the mic. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm not used to using a Mac on a day-to-day basis. I use Windows, so I don't make any mistakes here. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to use Superstore Sales. This is a data set that ships with Tableau. Just to mention that this is for this client's specific scenario. But again, you can adapt it and hopefully I'll provide you with the know-how of how to do that. So, okay. So let me just bring in sales into the view. Okay. So there we go, yeah. So that's our sales across the data set. And we can actually achieve the previous year-to-date by, again, that's the Mac. So let me press Command and nope. Okay. So yeah, if we use the relative date, then if we click on years and click on year-to-date and anchor relative to, and for this specific client, the data is refreshed on a monthly basis. So right now we're in February, so we've got complete data for January within the data set. So what we would want to do is compare against January for the previous year. So if we do this and anchor it relative to January of last year, then we can see that that is our sales for January for the previous year. And what I like to do is actually build a table, so then we can sort of test the accuracy of our calculation. I'm just going to drop order date into the view. Wrong one. Let me press Option and bring that in. There we go. So we can bring in our month and year and bring in our sales. Again, let me just use the new Tableau feature, which is going to format across all worksheets. So tip within a tip. Yeah, we can see we get 56,851, which is what we're looking for. But the problem with that is that if we're now in March and we have data for January and February, I'm going to try to speed this up because I don't have much time. And I'm just going to mimic what that would be like. So if I go down and include January and February data, then we can see that, where is it? Oh yeah, so that's exactly what was supposed to happen. So we can see that this doesn't change, so this is static. And what we're actually looking for is 110,346, which is January and February. So how you can do that is if we go create another calculation, and what we need to begin with is an anchor date. And I won't go into detail about LOD calculations, but essentially what this is, this calculation is going to do is look across the order date column and return my maximum date. And I want to build my calculations that run off this calculation here. So now if I bring in my order date into the view, wrong button again, month, year, and bring in our anchor date, month, year. And if I go back, I just need to change this, and I'll come back to this. So, oops. So yeah. So because we're in February, we've got data up to January. And now what we want to do is build a previous year-to-date flag. And what we want to do is use the date diff function. And we want to look at year and build order date and have our anchor date in there. And what you could do now is drag and drop this into the view and see what this does. And I'm just going to change this to a dimension. And you can see that for the same month this year, we get a 0, but for all months in our previous year, we get a 1. So that's good, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to hit equals 1, and then we can drag and drop this into our view onto color, so we can see exactly what it's doing. So that's one part of the calculation. So we've got our last year flag, and next what we want to do is the date diff calculation for month. And what we want to capture here is all months which are more than or equal to 12 months. I just need to bring in an and. And again, we can bring this into the view. Oops. Month. Just need to add a comma there. We can bring this into the view. Oops. And again, I'm going to change this to a dimension and discrete. And what we can see is, yeah, that's what we want. So right now, because we're in January, last year, January, we're getting a value of 12. If we were in February, then we would get a value of 12 for February and 13 for January, which is good. So if I bring all of this calculation into view and bring that onto color now, we can see that we only get a true value for January, which is exactly what we want. So next, what we want to do is then create our measure now, which is our previous year-to-date sales. And all we need to do is if, where's our year-to-date flag? All right, let me just do it here. Previous year-to-date flag. If this is true, then give me my sales and bring that into the view. And I can just put that onto label. And we can see we get 56,851. And next month, when we get data for February as well. So let me just add that. Then we can see that that's the result we're getting. And if I just create a new view and bring our previous year-to-date sales, we get 110,346. And if we come back here, that's it, 110,346. So I know it's a lot of time. But it's there. And if you come back here, can you see it was January before, now it's February. And if you want, you can download the workbook and see how to make the date dynamic as well. So there's two parts. It's the automation aspect, but it's also the ability to have multiple measures in the view which span different time periods. So if I had a filter on here, which was just the relative filter which I showed before, I won't be able to see my year-to-date sales for this year. So yeah, two aspects to that calculation. But it's on my Tableau public profile if you want to download and reverse engineer and build yourself.
Amazing.
Thank you very much. Yeah.